Go.
Welcome to Not a Great Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Katie Ray. I am joined by the Mark Lombardi-Nelson, the one and only.
Thank you.
He is a lifestyle architect, and my favorite thing about him is he is a hug dealer, not a drug dealer, a hug dealer.
Your friendly neighborhood hug dealer.
So I really want to just start talking about what Mark's been doing. I love that he is into different things and helping multiple amounts of people, like just a large group of people just in different categories. I'm big on that. I don't think you need to have a niche when you want to help so many people. So we're going to kind of just ask him what he's been doing, give some hope out there to our audience that, you just got to keep grinding and working hard and being kind to others. And Mark, welcome.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. It's nice to finally meet you.
I know. I love that this is our first. It's like our first blind date, and we're like, oh my God, I already knew who you were, but kind of, but not really. Digitally, I knew you. So let's jump into what you're doing right now.
Cool. So I, first and foremost, me and my partner, Matt Foreman, we co-founded a company called Shoot to Thrill Media, where we have facilitated easy access for entrepreneurs, artists, and or creatives to be able to have the web team that they need as a ongoing partner. So we build affordable and reliable websites as a service.
And how'd you guys find each other? Friends or?
Ironically, so first me and Matt went to school together. So we both went to USF in St. Petersburg, though.
I'm a Bull.
Hey, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Doubles. So we found each other in St. Petersburg there. After we graduated, we both went into our own entrepreneurial efforts, and both of us were screwed over by web developers. And so that gave us the impetus to learn how to code.
Yes.
And as we were freelancing on the side, both of us just making our own way, doing separate things, one of our friends, Stephen Corey, actually connected us because we had the same idea to where rather than people getting charged $5,000, $10,000 for a website, wouldn't it be cool if you could do $99 a month for a website, and then you have a team to where you don't have to worry about it?
Yes.
And so we solved that problem for ourselves, then we solved it for our friends, and then it turned into this really great company, and we've served over 100 clients, and we've grown really well, and it's just been a really wonderful model, to be able to empower and encourage people to grow at the scale they choose.
I love that. And did you start coding kind of before it was a big thing?
No.
It was when it was
coding's been a big thing for a long time. We've just now learned about it.
Okay.
I mean, I got my first computer at 18. I'm 26 now. So it's one of those things.
You're young.
The coding infrastructure and the coding community as a whole has changed significantly over the last 15 to 30 years, really with the creation of it.
And I think Suncoast, is it developers?
Yeah, SDG.
Guild. Yeah, they're amazing.
Formerly the Iron Yard,
and you
now
did
Suncoast Developers Guild.
You did an event there? Or you did the graduation, I think?
A handful of stuff. I'm a graduate of their program.
Okay,
so
great.
I graduated from the original Iron Yard 2017, I think, or 2016, something like that. I think it was like two and a half years ago. And that was after I realized that I needed to learn how to code. And if I was going to be a founder of a technology company, in the words of a friend-tor of mine, is if you're going to build a technology company, you need to understand how technology works. And so the thought process of getting granular was essential. And then I did my own process. Then I realized I wanted to go to school for it, potentially make it a part of our company. Realized I did not want to become an app development shop. So we just started partnering with people like that so we can get those things built. That we've really stuck to the website side of things, and it's worked really, really well for us.
I love that. And you guys are 3 years in?
Yeah, 3+ now.
Congrats to you and Matt. That's
Thank
amazing.
You.
I think technology is huge. I've been in tech for sales and marketing for so long, and people just don't realize it's always changing. It's just always developing, and it's such a good industry to be in. But that's great what you did. You guys took a bad experience.
Yep.
You made it a company.
Hey,
and you're
we
helping
solved
others.
other people's problems.
That's
Yay.
all it takes. You had a problem. You found a solution, and you're now thriving.
If you got a problem, I'll solve it.
Oh, okay. I think Mark will be singing in the middle of this episode. It'll
Probably.
be fabulous, and I'll love it.
Yeah.
I want to jump 4 years ago to your TED Talk.
Oh Lord.
Love that you did that. It was in St. Pete, Tampa,
Yeah.
St. Pete.
Yes.
Well, it was. I know it was about giving.
That was
Can't
the one
remember
on
the
Just
title.
Give. Yeah, Give, How to Win at Life.
I love that.
So I got really lucky just a lot of times over. Like people ask, are you from Tampa Bay?
How did you do that? Yeah.
So I grew up in Spring Hill, Florida. I don't really tell people that. I've been in St. Pete for the last 10 years. Like one of the things that's happened, I want a car. Like, I don't know. I've never met anyone else who's won a car. So it's like, I know
haven't
the odds
either.
of winning a car.
Do you still have
is
your
extremely-
car?
I actually sold it before it depreciated. So, you know, I won it, became an Uber driver, drove Uber for like 18 months with it. And then before the miles depreciated the value of the car, I sold it.
What was it? What was the giveaway? Like, where was it?
You know, it was for one college graduate. You could be associate through doctoral degree. The first time they ever did this. And it was also the last time they ever did it.
They're like, someone really wanted
Yeah, they didn't bring it back. So just awkwardly is one of those things. And you had to be graduating from the Tampa Bay area, any of the schools in the Tampa Bay area. So as north as Citrus and as low as Manatee. And, you know, out of, you know, the 50, 80,000 potential people who could have applied to this thing, only 11 people applied. And I was one of 11 only because my mother made me. Like, I was working my first job out of college and my mom calls me on the phone and says, I'm not getting off the phone until you promise me you're going to sign up for this thing. You can actually win it. And then I won it. So it was really funny.
I love that. You
Thanks,
won a
Mom.
car. What kind of car? Thanks, Mom. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah. It was a 2014 Mazda 2.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a brand new car.
And then they stopped doing the contest.
Yeah. I mean, I was the one and only person who won a car in that contest.
But I love that because, I mean, that was probably an amazing moment. But didn't you have like lucky streaks before that?
Yeah. My whole life has felt like a lucky streak. You know, I come from a relatively adverse background. And so, you know, I have 7 brothers and sisters, relatively impoverished family growing up, you know, food stamps, Section 8, eviction, like all just like the story that most people say, oh man, you know, this is something, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, not everyone has boots. You know, it's the sentiment that I see my family and I see other people who've been through that circumstance. And most people don't have access or the opportunity to get out of it. I was fortunate enough to have.
Are you and your siblings really close?
Very close.
That's right. And you're right in the
I'm kind of like
middle.
the patriarch of my family in a way. My father passed about 6 years ago. I moved my younger siblings and my mother to St. Petersburg.
Amazing.
Yeah, ton of fun.
And your older ones are out in college right now?
The older siblings are way beyond college.
Oh, yeah, because you're in the middle and you're 26.
Yeah, so Eric, Robert, and Casey, all in their 30s, and 2 of them live in Virginia.
Okay.
Robert just had a kid. Eric's in Hudson doing his thing. So
Okay.
everybody's just living their life.
I love it. And do you guys have family get-togethers still where everybody just comes and gathers around?
Not
It's hard, right? Because there's so many of you.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get everybody in the same room.
Yeah.
Last time everyone was in the same room was like when Dad died. So it's just one of those things, like, it's part of it though. You know, funerals and weddings, that's typically where you see everybody when you come from a big family.
So I get you. I got you. I have a very large family. But so your younger ones really look up to you.
I think in a way, I think so.
But you're such a positive impact.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful. I don't, you know, saying anyone looks up to me is, I think look across to me. You know, we're all on the same plane. So it's, you know, I learn from them as much as hopefully they learn from me.
So what kind of gave you that push to really be the patriarch of the family?
Well, I mean, Dad died,
You just
for
knew?
sure. It was just a role that was immediately assumed.
You just knew.
Yeah.
Okay. And your mom's probably super grateful for that.
Mom's amazing.
I think she is because she told you to get that car. She
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah, Mom has her own set of things that she means well.
So the youngest is in high school?
The youngest is 11.
Oh, is that middle school?
I think
Fifth
it's
grade?
the end of elementary school.
Okay,
I
fifth.
think he's in.
I know. I can't. I'm so
Or
old now that
he's
I'm like,
12
what is
now,
that?
actually. Yeah, he's 12 now.
Oh.
He just turned 12.
That's.
I would say he's 11 because
I
they're
love
flying
that
by.
with the big like gaps between, because I know like my brother's 10 years older than me, then 6 years older, than 4 years older than my siblings. And I still think people are like, well, we're so far apart. I'm like, no, there's just so much connection there.
Right.
I love it.
So do I.
And it's just different worlds.
Yeah,
people don't
I
realize.
probably tell people that I'm one of at least 3 to 5 times a week. Like it's just who I am. It's a very big part of me. And it's reflective of the character I have. So it's like the inclusion and the community involvement and the way to really facilitate consensus as well as just make people feel comfortable. That comes from being from a big family.
So what do you do when you like know you've made, because I know like the TED Talk was about giving, and I think that's such a good message to just tell people like, yes, money is great. Please give that. I love how
Sure.
you shout out. You're like, and thank you for the ones that give money, but you know, like time, hugs.
Yeah.
What if you're going to give a hug and that person hates hugs?
Yeah.
I've been there.
That happens. And so I'm a hug dealer. You know, I kind of said that earlier. And thank you, Matt, for the shirt. Appreciate you. Though, you know, there's a handful of people who you got to kind of respect their space. So I've just learned how to let people know I'm going to hug them before I do. And it's just a way of life almost. It's like literally open palms. You have to not be threatening. You have to be approachable. And so it's like, hey, my palms are by my side, open. Like I'm going for a hug. And if you have a space thing, then, you know, the peeps say, oh, no, thank you. Though most people, they welcome it when you
do.
think about it intentionally.
And it might be an awkward hug for them, but they might have needed it.
I can tell you some crazy stories about people who needed hugs at the right time. Like just hug the people next to you. We are all one together.
I love that you're a hug dealer.
Yeah, thanks.
And did you ever get any of your siblings who are like, okay, can you stop with that?
No, I mean they think it's funny. And part of them like really appreciates it. It's just one of the things. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So now you kind of say St. Pete's your home, even though you grew up in Spring Hill.
Yeah.
I know community is huge for you. What's your favorite thing about St. Pete community and what you do for it? Like, what's your favorite kind of hobby you do for St. Pete?
Oh, that's so tough.
I know. I love tough questions. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Because there's so many.
Yeah, St. Pete is lovely.
I love it.
St. Pete is truly lovely. It is a place that is infatuating. Tons of amazing people, I'd say, is the caricature of why it's growing the way it's growing and how intentionally it's growing. So, a lot of people are coming into town. A lot of people are investing in local companies and local artists. There's a congregation of assets and events that are compiling and compounding, around the different sections and groups that are really learning to play here. So I think that's lovely. In terms of how I like to contribute, it's all the above. I contribute where I'm asked typically. So if someone, says, hey, how do we do this? Or would you like to contribute? The answer is typically yes. I take a note out of Bob Devin Jones's book there. I'm just like, yeah, the answer is yes. And so we can kind of talk about how we get that to come to fruition. So I work with St. Peter's for Tech. I think that's a really fun outlet. So Sean is the person who built that. He's actually on a worldwide escapade with his wife, Shauna, and they're traveling currently though. When he comes back, we're going to refocus on how we can build out a repository and a database for the technology community to be able to communicate more effectively. How can we educate technology talent? That St. Petersburg is the place where you can grow and facilitate economic development and be a part of a solution that matters. How can we attract companies to St. Petersburg that really don't understand the benefit of building a workforce and a community and a lifestyle around your product here? And so it's a really fun educational process, and I think that's going to tie into a lot of the community work that I'll be contributing myself to.
I love that. Tampa Bay is seen as like a technology just area, and I think it's pouring into St. Pete because I know a lot of like digital marketers, a lot of just people coming out of there. So let's jump back to you being a musician. How many instruments you play? I
play the piano, the saxophone, the guitar, the drums, and I sing. Cool. So vocals. I'm learning the violin right now. I started yesterday.
I love that. Okay, so and you're always growing, right? So you're always learning something.
Doing my best.
How do you kind of stay focused? I think as a 26-year-old, you have a really good head on your shoulders.
I don't know about that.
Not giving into really a lot of temptation of just everything around us.
I give into a lot of temptation.
Okay.
I can't say that I don't do that.
How do you stay focused, though, to get to your next goal? It's like just helping others know that sometimes you get in a little bit of a hole or a rut. And how do you kind of get out of that? I think you love to read. That's probably one of them. And then music.
Yeah, so my highs are high, my lows are low. You have to know yourself. So I think it's that self-awareness of, all right, if I have 8 highs and 2 lows, I'm doing pretty well. I don't really do balance and moderation well yet. I'm still relatively immature there, though I know it's something I need to work towards. And then I think the way that it works is that I because I know myself, it makes it so much easier to choose partners. I would not be where I am today without my partner, Matt. I would not be where I am today without people like Adrian, without people like Wes and Dylan. It's just the people at Nick. It's that there's people that play and they change your thought process. The law of conversion is a very real thing. You become, share, and embody the values and beliefs of the 5 closest people to you.
So true.
And so, how do you position yourself for that? And I'm very fortunate to have, created a space where I'm supported by people who understand and empathize with my intrinsic beliefs and values, and we push each other forward.
Yeah. So, show me your 5 friends. I'll show you who you are.
That's it.
Yep. Show me your 5 closest. I think that's great. And I think you are so young and you've accomplished so much. So
it doesn't feel
and you're
that
like,
way.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, no, I'm keep going. So people will come up to you and be like, oh my goodness, you did this. And you're like, no, I'm still going.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like I've accomplished anything, to be candid. Like I know we have and a handful of things, though it's
so much more.
That's kind of part of the journey on self-actualization that I'm taking, to where is that insatiability healthy? Is that something that I need to focus on and think through? And really understand how to approach it, because it's not sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, then it's not going to facilitate peace or happiness.
What's one of your daily habits that keeps positive daily habit,
I mean, it's,
Mark?
This is an interesting topic because we actually don't do many things every day.
I know.
So
but everyone
like if you
says
think
you have
about
to do
something
it every
you do
day.
every day, and the only thing I can actually think of
Drink
is
water?
social media. No, there's days where I went without water. There's days where I went without food.
Oh, have you done?
Right. And like, and I've cleansed myself though in terms of like my natural behavior. Like I consume content, and that's really interesting to think of as like the one thing that I know happens on a daily, or like engage with another human.
You're right.
So it's. Other than that, though, I've struggled with routine in my life. I struggle with consistency. That's the thing I'm working for like most towards, because I get so excited and interested in different topics because I fill voids in terms of my understanding. I'm a very curious and inquisitive person. So once I identify that I want to do something, then I go extremely diligently in it. So like I'm gonna finish learning the violin in the next 29 days. Like that's just
What you're gonna do.
How I architect my positioning of learning and my framework of learning. So.
And you teach kids instruments?
Yeah, I teach piano is the primary instrument that I teach. I've had students everywhere from 5 to 74. Wow. Though I prefer to teach children, so 5 to 13. And I'll eventually build out like some sort of organizational expression and curriculum around that. I think music is like a really divine creature, and the way that I like to teach is to facilitate a relationship between the student and the instrument, rather than just teaching the way that you teach or teaching the way that feels most comfortable to you to educate a student. I think it's really about creating a bond between the two. And if you can do that successfully, it doesn't matter how old the child or the student gets, they're always going to be able to come back to it. Comparatively to, many of the peers or friends you may know who took lessons as a kid and then it just kind of went away. It's because they didn't make a connection with the instrument. And so as a teacher, that would be my goal.
Love that. What's the hardest thing you've been faced with professionally?
That's
loaded.
Yeah. No, it's I wonder, I think the hardest thing professionally is probably imposter syndrome.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that may be a part of it. And then how that influences your understanding of how you grow as a human. So it's, I've been in St. Pete for 10 years. Is that too long? Do I need to leave to grow? Who knows? Yeah. I'm playing in technology, though there's people who are 30 plus years. Like, how am I playing here? Right. So you have to get past those limiting beliefs. And you really have to push yourself to that next level. And it's not always something you succeed in. I'm struggling with it currently.
Fear creeps in.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a matter of like, no one has it totally figured out. If they say they do, I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Like tell me more then. So if you've been through the same set of circumstances and you have the desired outcome that I'm seeking, like I'm willing to listen. If you don't, though, let's keep moving forward.
Do you think a lot of obstacles you had growing up or just personally has kind of set you up to see the good out of every situation?
Oh, man. It is the reason I am who I am. I could not be more grateful for it. I mean, I'm working towards living a net zero lifestyle. I would like to spend $0 to $500 a month, period, which is the opposite of most of my peers and most people who get into business or go work or think of a lifestyle. Like I'm seeking minimalism. I'll have kites, instruments, and a handful of clothes. And that's what I want. And that empowers me to then solve the problems I care about, because I can take the revenue that's generated and then put it into the problems that are intentional and meaningful to me.
What is the biggest change you want to see in the next 6 months with your life and others? Not like the whole world's outlook.
Oh, Lord.
But for you, where do you want to see the biggest change to kind of keep the ball rolling?
In my life,
I love how scared you get every time I ask a question.
Yeah, it's super. So you caught me in transition. This is one of the things. Like I'm a very authentic and like candid person, so I'll tell you exactly where I'm at, which is truly in a transition, measuring opportunity cost about the next stages and steps. We've succeeded in one company. I've succeeded in a handful of experiments, tests I've done on the side for a handful of other things. And now I get to choose, what that next play is going to be. And it is fearful. There's a lot of angst and ambiguity that goes along with that. So I'm in the process. I think in the next 6 months, one of the coolest things that would happen is refining my real estate development acumen and really continuing to invest in my skill set and my mindset there, just because I think that's such a significant part about what my future will hold.
And that's a community real estate project you're working on, right?
Yeah.
Love that.
So that's kind of the fun stuff, and how the real estate development will play into a long-term vision. Though, I've definitely applied patience to all of it, so I'm very comfortable with where I'm at. I don't know if I could be happier, which is the scary part as well, because then what do you chase? Like I've topped out the happiness meter at this point. I'm like, how does this continue? Like, how does one continue?
How does one continue with this?
So it's going to be neat, though. It's fun. As long as you live with intention, I think the right things end up happening.
I think your energy, and I think people forget that when you connect with someone or just saying hi to somebody and just understanding what they do can fuel you to do something more.
Yeah, energy is essential.
You've totally, I think, mastered that. And just with the real estate development idea of community and just understanding that connection is everything. That's one of my favorite things. It's funny. I always say I like people. I know it sounds weird, but
it sounds lovely.
I do. It does sound lovely, but for some people are like, what? But that connection people forget about. And you can be at topped out happiness, I think, and just keep riding it out.
That's what I'm shooting for now.
You're just making other people happy along the way.
That is literally what
you're topped out of happiness. It's not the worst thing to be.
No.
But you also have to be a reality check of highs and lows. So
right.
You've now self-reflected so much that you understand.
Yeah. I'm 25 days sober right now. It's
awesome.
I have an addict mentality. I was high functioning in terms of alcoholism, though it's not like it was hindering my ability to perform, though I recognized it was something that I was desiring on a regular basis. And
congrats on your 25 days sober. I think it's huge.
Thanks.
I come from a husband of addiction, so I understand that. And I think it's a big... he's recovering always, but I know that he's in a good place.
Yeah.
But all of us have an addiction.
Absolutely.
It just depends on what it is. And I don't think people realize you could be addicted to social.
Phone.
I know.
All of us are addicted to the phone.
Where's my phone? And I'm screaming. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm addicted to. Or back when I was little, it was food.
Right.
I would just go to my first sugary thing to eat when I was stressed.
And so the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
And that's really the place to where it gives us the ability to recognize and move forward. So if you're ever faced with that, that's kind of where I start in terms of solving it.
And that's so true. And I think people forget that. And we've come to the realization, why are we secluding addiction? Why is that happening when they should just be with us? Because that's where they find love and support. So I'm huge on that. Congratulations to you. And it's, again, self-reflection.
Yep.
You had to know, wait a second, this is getting in the way of what I really want to do.
Right.
So it's probably not the best thing. And I think that's huge too. And you're going to connect with so many people with that.
Well, I'm grateful for it.
I know.
Very grateful
Again,
for it.
And if people just take their obstacles and challenges and just become grateful, I feel like sky's the limit. You're there. Happiness level, topped out.
It's topped out.
It's topped out happiness. We're just going to keep going.
Accurate.
Okay, so your next big thing is the real estate thing.
Yeah.
In the transition. What is one of your dreams?
So I intend to have a handful of dreams.
We have time. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah. No, I'm going to study culinary in France. That's going to be something I do. I'm going to go to the Carnival in Brazil and just kind of enjoy the culture there. I'm going to build a school. I want to build a school that combines a Montessori style of learning with business incubation, teachings and practices to where your student would leave with equity instead of debt. So, there's a lot of things I want to do in my lifetime, I suppose. I want to, refine some of the other languages. I want to really get good at Spanish. I want to finish this album I'm working on and master the violin. So those are things that I work towards and think about. I love to cook, kite surf, dance, play music, solve problems. And those are the things that those are my 5. And so I've been able to diversify my skill set because I've acted with intention. I've chosen the things I want to play in, and then I just continuously learn and invest around those areas.
How long did it take you to find the top 5?
It's kind of just a choice that you had to make. So it's if you said, all right, I just need to choose, and
this is what makes me happiest.
And that's it. And then from there, you can swap out if you recognize it doesn't serve you anymore. You don't have to live that way. You have total autonomy to change.
It's my top 5.
Point.
I can't.
It's all right, I'm done with these 5. I want 5 new. It's okay, cool. Leave them back then. But you just have to make sure that you're very cognizant of the time it's going to take for you to perfect those things. I know the time it's going to take for me to understand the violin better. I need 30 hours on the violin to have a basic understanding. I need 120 hours to play the way that I want to play.
So do you lay it out like that? Numbers? Are you in numbers? And how some people are I talk in Excel or I talk in Word?
Yeah.
Which one, are you both?
I talk in the first person. I talk. I don't really record it,
Okay.
so I understand numbers well.
Okay.
Though I wouldn't say I speak through Excel sheets.
Yeah.
It's just I kind of measure opportunity cost in my own mind,
Okay.
and then recognize it from there.
So with the culinary, say you're jumping to that, is it you have to be somewhere here professionally to jump to the culinary in France?
No.
Okay.
No,
So it could be a spontaneous jump.
So realistically, it'll happen between the ages of 30 to 35. And I've dedicated my 20s to Central and South America. And so in terms of my travels or my exploration and adventure, those will be the places where I visit, where I consume the culture, where I, embody the beliefs that they share, learn from them, and then apply them back. And then I recognize in my 30s, I'll probably spend a lot more time on the Eastern side. So I'll probably go to Europe a lot more. And
what if something jumps in there with a relationship or something?
What about it?
What if would that interfere with what you're going to do?
No.
Okay. You see it as just this is life?
It'll be a part of it.
Okay. Love it. I know some people are like, no, I have my timeline. It can't, nothing can be bothered.
That's not real.
It's not
the
ever.
timeline is abstract.
I'm like, you don't have to hit a milestone. There's nothing to hit right now. Like, do what makes you happy.
Truly. And in fact, I've tried both ways and I have successfully done the things I've wanted to do the abstract way comparatively to the timeline way. So if you're extremely anal in particular, you don't really enjoy it as much. So I learned to let it work.
Okay. And you love cooking. That's a positive.
Yes.
Love it. Make us something next time. Please. And thank you.
I can do that.
You're like, yeah, no problem. I love that you focus your dreams geographically.
Mm-hmm.
I think what made you want to travel? What made you do that? Like, what was it?
Yeah. I mean, it was the recognition that, we live in one city, in one state, in one country, in one world. And so, to understand people better, I think it's the ability to be empathetic. My first trip out of the country was, I was like 20 years old, went to Brazil with a backpack, no plans. And my friends thought it was crazy. It's like the middle of 2013. And I ended up having some amazing I got blessed by the Pope in Brazil. Like that's like the first time he was there for World Youth Day. I'm like, okay, I'm on Copacabana Beach, just like doing this thing with thousands of other people surrounding me who are from different cities, different countries in the world. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, all right, cool.
And wait, you said it was kind of like you weren't like it was last minute you were going to go take this trip?
Yeah, I mean, really, Dustin Pankow is probably the person responsible for getting me to go because he challenged me on my bullshit. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Brazil. What up? He's like, no, you're not.
And you're like, wait a second. Fuck. Now I am.
You're right. It's like, and it was exactly what I needed because I challenge authority pretty regularly. I'm very much so like, if you tell me I can't, I'll show you I can.
Yeah, of course.
So when he planted that seed in my mind, it was the best thing that could have ever happened because he gifted me the wanderlust desire. So thanks, Dustin.
Big shout out to Dustin. All right, yeah. I like that. He called me on my bullshit, and I was like, I'm not bullshitting. That's amazing. You're blessed by the Pope. Glad to have you here today.
Hey, that was such a cool thing.
I know. And how old were you?
I was 20 at the time.
Wow, that's a big trip.
Yeah, it was fun. It was 2 weeks. It was a good 2 weeks.
That is. And then what was your next trip? What'd you plan?
Oh man, I've got no idea. I mean, I've been to Cuba. I've been to the Dominican Republic, Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Mexico, like a bunch of. So I've committed to Central and South America. The next trip will probably be Colombia or Costa Rica again, and then from there, we'll check all the boxes. So we'll do Argentina. We'll do.
Do you go by yourself or with a group of people?
Both.
Okay.
I really do like going by myself comparatively, unless the people I'm traveling with allow me to travel. I don't really do well with a plan. So if I'm traveling with planners,
and they're like, "Oh, we're going here." You're like, "No, I'm not."
Right? Yeah. There's just some disagreements. There's a little dissonance. It's like I'm not going to operate with a plan, and you guys go have fun, and I'll see you in a little bit.
I think that's amazing. Have any of your siblings now wanted to travel more watching you?
They want to travel more. I don't think they recognized completely yet the the correlation between work and life outcome.
Oh man,
so
such a hard generation to deal with.
It's I don't know if it's the generation though. I think it's because of just the way the system and the way the access is built. Like I operate differently than they do.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they've seen me do it, so maybe I've entitled them. Like I have to point with the thumb, not the finger. Like what have I done that could have operated or facilitated a different thought for them? Because I think we all have control if we have the right mindset conditioning. So it's tough.
I fight with that with my little ones. Like, what am
tough.
I saying to you that's going to turn you spoiled as shit? I hope it's nothing.
Like, how do I turn on that light bulb? And how do I, condition and share what I've learned rather than just letting you go through the natural process. I struggle with that when I think about having kids, because I would never want my children to know or believe that they could rely on us in terms of like a financial support. Like, I don't want my kids to be spoiled.
I know.
Like, that's a huge fear.
I know.
So it's, living in a tiny home will solve that shit real quick. Like,
Yes,
it's like they're not going to have,
sharing
the condition.
a room.
Right.
I shared a room with my sister until I was like 14.
And ultimately the thought had been like, all right, we'll run through this until they're old enough, while still learning the lifestyle skills. The same things that I would do in that school, I'd want to do with my kids. That's really where that idea stems from. And then once they get to a certain point, it's like, okay, here's what we've done. Here's how we've solved problems. And here's how people perceive that. Here's how we perceive that. Because I don't think it's about the wealth that you acquire. It's about the value that you create.
Value and just living reality. Like, they just seeing kids get out of high school right now with zero idea of how to pay a bill. Just understanding, just like you have to work.
Absolutely insane.
Like, there's effort.
You don't know how to do
involved.
laundry.
Yeah, like what? The effort involved. I know. I already have
Granted, I'm not great at doing laundry either. So hey,
colors and whites
who am I
go
to
together.
talk?
It's perfect. It's fine. My white shirts come out pink. It's fine. It's no big deal.
I love pink. That's my favorite color.
Pink is great. It should be. Real man wears pink.
Yes, we do.
But I think you're right. I love the idea of the school system that you're going to create. What made you want that as a dream? Like,
I think
watching your sisters and brothers and being in the school system?
I think there's many different catalysts or reasons to do it. Part of it's just from the own experience. I have a mantra that if you have the ability to identify a problem, it's your obligation to solve it. And that's kind of how I think about life. So not everyone is blessed with the ability to see the same things that you are.
Yeah.
And if you create a solution, like, you need to bring it to the market. Now, that doesn't mean you're the one who has to execute on it. If you can find a team that would do the same thing, or if you find someone who's already working towards it, leave your ego at home. You don't need your name on it. Just get the problem solved.
Yeah.
So if you find people who are working on solving the problem you care about, contribute in a meaningful way, connect them, create value, expedite their process.
I love that. I think that just hit me hard, because it's like, I'm always telling people, don't complain. Don't come at me with a problem and not like a solution with it.
Yeah.
And you're right. Same thing with me. Like, if I have the solution, why am I not?
Like, this is what I think would work. Here's why. So here's the research that would show it. Here's the tests and examples I have. Like, let's put it to work.
Yes.
And then you see other people doing stuff like it. And so it's learning from them. How do you build curriculum? How do you build a thought process? How do you go through, the learning style of children from 5 to 8 compared to 8 to 15? It's a very different particular thing.
And we're so scared to reach out to people or tell them our idea. And it's like that fear of just I'll be judged.
Yeah, you got to let that go.
Don't tell them. Yeah, I know. Well, how did you let that go? Because that had to be hard starting on your own.
I haven't. I don't think it's something that I've completely let go. Otherwise, you'd probably see more content from me digitally. Like, I'd probably be more visible. I'd probably be making videos.
Question before sending it, you're like, probably not.
I rewrite shit like 5 times before I send it because I want to make sure it's perfect. Which, I definitely would agree that that's also insecurity, right? Though at the same time, it's diligence and positioning. So, they go hand in hand. And I think it's, the only reason that I haven't, created my own content is because of that fear, though I'm really good in person. So I've mastered different mediums. Like, the one-to-one is where I thrive. And speaking to a digital audience, I haven't tried it yet because I'm scared.
Well, perfect, because that's uncomfortable for you. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You're a lifestyle architect. You got to do it.
That's it.
After this today, you will send something out.
It's funny. I just recorded a first video of me learning how to play the violin yesterday because one of the people I care about most incentivized me to. So very thankful for that, because I think it is like the next step of my own comfortability. And at the same time, it's something that excites me.
This is great. You did it. How many days in?
For what?
Violin?
I bought it on Friday. Today's Sunday.
Okay.
I started yesterday.
And you taped on yesterday?
Did. I watched about an hour worth of YouTube videos, and then I played for about 30 to 45 minutes, which is about 15 minutes too less. You got to play for on average of an hour a day. So
and then 30 days from now, you're going to see
29 days from now.
29 days from now, you're going to see how much better you are.
Yeah. I'll be able to play something.
It's kind of like the before and after for people that are working out and stuff.
Yeah, it's the exact same process. I mean, so I used to do monthly challenges. Every month I do something different. Not a new concept. I thought it was at the time, which was funny. Though that's, again, ignorance of a early 20-something. And, so monthly challenges, it teaches you the approach to learning. So like, this is where I really enjoy stuff from Tim Ferriss, because he goes over the process, meta learning how to learn, and deconstructing in a way to where it can become immediately applicable. And so, once you do that enough times with your diet, with your workout, with your skill development, no matter what that is, you see the similarity in the pattern, and then it becomes an addiction of learning, which is kind of where I feel like I'm at, which also is not sustainable.
But yeah, it's not sustainable because you're learning so much, but I like addiction to learning. I like that. That's not a...
I'm happy about it.
I think it's a positive. And you said Ferris and Franklin were your two.
Tim Ferriss, Ben Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could be the combination
Ferris
of any
and
two
Franklin.
people, it'd be Ferris and Franklin.
Why?
I think Ferris has done a really great job with the architecture of the ecosystem that we live in, and how to maneuver through it and document. His attention to detail is so appreciated because I don't have it. And so it's something I admire and aspire to be like. I aspire to be that calculated and measured, to understand what's going on around me while also inquiring about what can continue to happen and how we can grow from it. And then Franklin's the GOAT. Franklin did all of it. I mean, you got to think about, go back 200 to 300 years. People did not live as long as he lived. People did not have an influence. He was involved in every major document that created this country. That's badass. He's the only person involved in every document. He was an inventor. He was a businessman. He was an author. He was the guy. I mean, I consider him probably one of the best lives ever lived. There's a lot of things about him too. I mean, I'm not condoning everything he's done. He had his own side.
You're just saying.
So in terms of the creator side of Franklin, he created the postal system.
That's saying I support all this.
So I'm impressed by the things he left behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed by the things that he committed his time to. Because they seem so simple now, though in a world where it didn't exist, imagine being the person suggesting it.
Yep.
And so for that, my sir, thank you.
I didn't even think of that, how many things he had his hands on.
All of it.
Yeah. Then
all of it.
That's that's a positive perspective from him. But I understand. I understand what you're saying. I love that. So tell me one of your favorite quotes. I know it's gonna be so hard. You're probably like 8.
No, I mean, I default to the ones that are familiar.
Yeah.
So it's like, life's 10%, 10% what happens, 90% how you react to it. Like that's a super basic.
But it's so true.
Of course it's true.
I think people forget to go back to the basics sometimes.
Yeah, no, the basics are essential for sure. There's a bunch of quotes. I don't know if there's any that that really, Mark Twain is where, it's a paraphrase. If you find yourself on the side of the majority, you reconsider your position. That's one that I think about relatively frequently. And then I don't know if I operate through quotes. I operate through like TED Talks or like people's positions on certain things. Like Catherine Scholes has a TED Talk on being wrong, my favorite TED Talk of all time. And it's really funny. She asked this question, what does it feel like to be wrong? And she asked the audience, and people's like, oh, it feels bad, thumbs down, like it's depressing. It's like, all great answers. So they're answers to a different question. And she asked, you answered the question, what does it feel like when you realize you're wrong? If you think about what it feels like to be wrong, it feels exactly the same as being right. Yeah. I'm like, what? That's exactly it. Like, that's a great way. If you can remember that on a daily basis, you're going to operate so much more fluidly. The same is so where, like, I think about like Baz Luhrmann, who had a commencement speech to the class of 1999 and ended up turning that commencement speech into a song that's called the Sunscreen Song, which is probably the most wisdom-packed 4 minutes I've ever listened to. And there's so many great lines in it. You be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. As I'm getting older, that makes more sense. Like live in New York City once, leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, leave before it makes you soft. Like those things just like resonate deep, and says, there's so much to experience as a human. And so it's like stuff like that.
I know we get caught up in the everyday, forgetting that this isn't it.
Yeah.
Like it's not. That's awesome. Do you want to do a snippet of your favorite song so we can hear your beautiful voice?
Oh, no. Favorite song.
Or favorite line to something where your voice sounds magnificent.
Man. I could probably figure that out. Which one? I need the words to. I typically do karaoke.
Oh, so it's always in front of you?
Yeah. I mean, I could probably.
You could just sing whatever you want. You can do a la la la.
I could stay awake just to hear you breathing, yeah. Watch you smile while you are sleeping, while you're far away and dreaming. I could spend my life in this sweet surrender, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know Kevin will have to put that volume down for that part,
Probably.
but I love it. Thank you for doing that. I love that you just did it on the spot. No
I had to think
karaoke or
about like
anything.
what was going on. Yeah.
I know you're like, I think it was something.
I was gonna sing like a
Super
song
proud
from
of you.
Journey though. For some reason, like "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" was right in my mind.
Good. You don't want to miss a thing.
Yeah.
I think it fits. Okay, let's go over everything you're doing right now, social media handles, kind of
Sure.
get the audience going. One more thing. Anything you want the audience to know specifically to kind of get them through their day?
Oh man. You got this. You can overcome whatever you're going through right now. And if you need help, feel free to reach out. The number is 727-642-8961. Text me anytime.
I love that. Thank you. Mark, you're wonderful.
You're wonderful.
Go over your social media handles. I love that you are musician, singer, dancer, teacher, lifestyle architect, all of the above, and hug dealer. My favorite.
Yes. Your friendly
But go over your
neighborhood
social
hug
media handles and your website and everything.
Yeah. So social media stuff, you can find me at Mark Lombardi-Nelson. Fortunately, I'm the only one by both names, so that's good. So LOMBARDINELSON. In terms of the website, Shoot to Thrill Media. So if you ever need an affordable web team, that's what we do. ShootToThrillMedia.com. We got our name from my partner Matt actually being a ridiculous Iron Man and like Avengers fan. And so the song that was playing in the Avengers when Loki was going to like blow up the world and Iron Man comes in and saves the day was AC/DC's Shoot to Thrill. And so from that moment in the Iron Man saga, we named the company. So,
That is amazing.
So feel free to hit us at shoottothrillmedia.com. And if
Good
you ever need
story.
anything, always happy to help.
I love that. Thank you, Mark. Again,
you.
You're at Not a Great Whisper podcast. Hit us up on Instagram at The Real K-Ray. Also Facebook, Not a Great Whisper podcast. And we're at BKN Creative Studios today in Ybor.
Shout out to BKN.
Shout out. And
They are
listen
the
to
best.
Morty's music after this. Thank you, Mark, for joining. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.